Alright. Alright. You guys know what time it is. It's time to talk about Clash of Champions in Universe Mode. Seventh season. And before we start, I'd like to say that maybe this is helpful for me. Just because, as we get closer to WrestleMania, I'm just going to get more and more stressed out about every little detail about this series, to the point where I want to see every match be amazing, every match be fantastic, every match be perfect, every storyline be executed perfectly. And I know that's impossible, or at least it's a daunting task. Oh, dang it, I'm going to try. So maybe this is a way for me to, release some stress by talking about kind of what we went through going up to this pay-per-view. And just mentally preparing myself. All right, this chapter's done. You got to move forward. Can't do anything about it. Just keep on going. Keep on writing the way you want to write. And more on that last point later. But first up was the Hardcore Championship. It was Max Webb versus James Arlington versus Davis King versus Velveteen Dream. Most Hardcore Championships I don't have planned till the show is about to be aired, but I had Max Webb and actually Dream slated since after SmackDown. After SmackDown, I had Dream for Raw, Max Webb for SmackDown. I needed one more Raw and one more SmackDown guy. I originally had Bruce Bennett and Braden McLaughlin. I pulled Braden, replaced him with Davis King from Raw, because after the brutal match, I was like, you know what? It seems like he kind of just shook that off like it was nothing. So for storyline purposes, I'll just remove him from Clash of Champions entirely. For Arlington, I threw him in there last minute because I was like, you know what? Don't want to pull the trigger on Bruce Bennett just yet. I'll go with Arlington. Arlington is a safer play for putting him in the match. I actually felt more comfortable with everybody in the ring. I was fine with anybody, so I turned it into kind of just a shoot match for fun. Like, whoever wins it. That's what I turned it into mentally. For me, I know that seems weird, but I didn't care who won, because I would have been happy with any of the four. I just chose Arlington because I know I can do pretty well with him. I know his moveset better than Davis's, Max Webb's, and Velveteen's. So I felt the most comfortable and confident in my ability to use James Arlington. It was a fun match. I think it was probably one of the best matches of the night. The one thing that plagues this show is that every match was stretched out. It just kept going and going and going. Except for, I'd say, the Cruiserweight Championship. Hardcore Championship felt about perfect. And Adam Cole versus Brock Lesnar, the Intercontinental Championship. Those are the only three that felt like, yeah, that was right on pace. That's probably where I would have put it. Everything else kind of felt stretched, which can dampen, or at least make it feel dragged out to me, which in turn impairs my commentary skills. Just because I start to get bored, or I get to the point where I start getting frustrated with myself. That's more common than me getting bored. I start thinking in my head as I'm commentating or as I'm doing the match, like, just, you moron, you complete moron. Like, you can't get this match properly. Like, what the heck is wrong with you? So I'm sitting there beating myself up. I typically do that when something doesn't go right. And it's just like, come on, you can salvage it. You can do it. No, yes, I can. It's a mental game for me, trying to overcome, like, all right, we can do it. We can do the best, just do the best I can. Just do the best I can. But yeah, that was a fun opener for me. I enjoyed doing that. And then, actually, this match number 2, Raw Tag Team Championship, American Alpha, continuing their reign. I plan to have them retain. I was actually going to do it over Assassin and MK, But I literally changed it at the very last minute. I said, you know what, let's throw in the Authors of Pain. We can have a fun powerhouse versus a smaller guy match. I actually considered giving the Authors of Pain the championships, but for the sake of the future storyline, I was like, nah, that's not fair to the Authors of Pain. What's going to happen? What's coming in the future? And I won't say anything further about what's happening in the future, but I thought that would be unfair to them. So I just decided not to have them win, but still have a really good match where I thought it was a fun match. It just stretched out a little bit longer than what I wanted. But it put the Authors of Pain over as pretty strong. They're kicking out a lot of finishers. They're dishing out a lot of punishment too. Jason Jordan had to constantly make saves. And ultimately it was just to, because American Alpha had 2 really short title reigns, and this was like their first long one in their careers, and I thought that thought it would be best to try to give them a good little, good lengthy run with it. Just give them that one good reign, that one redemption for their characters after all of Universe Mode. Moving to the Cruiserweight Championship, Jackson Wolf, the champion, walked in after TakeOver, went into the match, and what's crazy is I had it Jackson Wolf, Alex Carter, Rey Mysterio, and Finn Balor. I pulled Alex Carter, replaced him with Ricochet, because I felt like that was the wrong place and the wrong time to do it, especially with, if you listen to my TakeOver analysis, I felt like it was wrong for him to take somebody else's momentum in NXT and move up to the main roster. And then I felt like, it would be really messed up if he was the one to take the title. So how about Ricochet? Because Ricochet already moved up last TakeOver, and he's been up there enough time. He has never won a championship, so it won't damage Jackson Wolf too much, considering that's his 3rd reign. And, you know, I once again, I love that match. Went about right where I wanted it to. Kind of got everything I could into it. And luckily it didn't stretch too long to my dislike or my disdain toward it. But there wasn't much build up there. I already had Rey and Finn Balor slated for a while. After most of this booking, when it comes to the pay-per-view, happens after SmackDown. And then NXT, during NXT or NXT TakeOver, those serve as my breakpoints. Like, oh, you know, I'm just delaying for you to make plans. It's like, all right, you know, just solidify the card. This is a fun one. After SummerSlam, this is matchup number 4, SmackDown Live Tag Team Championships, Samoa Joe and Drew McIntyre versus DIS. So originally, when I had planned Joe and Drew to win the SmackDown Tag Team titles at SummerSlam. That happened. I didn't originally plan for DIS to win the titles back. I changed that last minute. But I always had this match planned here. I only went with it before because the match at SummerSlam was so good, and the second match was even better, if not just as good. And then this match just collapsed on me. And I was really just beating myself up mentally, just angry at myself, like, really? Like, come on. Like, you've done this twice before. You can't do it a third time. And it's frustrating, I will tell you. It is one of the most frustrating things is just disappointing people. And I'm always trying to think of everybody else other than myself. And when it comes to characters. But when it comes to the stories as well, when it comes to the match quality, I want to entertain you guys and still be invested myself. And it was just stretching out to the point where I was just mad at myself for my inability to make the match work for all of you guys. Especially since I did well the first 2 times. I thought, I shouldn't have a problem with this. And then just everything kind of went wrong. It wasn't a terrible match. It's just the ending certainly picked up. Certainly was a good ending for the match. That's kind of what I wanted for the ending. Not what I exactly had planned. But DIS was supposed to win the titles back here. But I changed the plans, of course, as you can see. So DIS retained. And they carry the belts forward to a future storyline. Oh boy, Adam Cole versus Brock Lesnar. Actually, no, forget that. That actually didn't happen 5th. I originally had it 5th, but I swapped it with Jeff Sanders versus Harvey. Jeff Sanders versus Harvey. So, Basically, the story going into this was that Harvey, fresh off of beating Armstrong, we gave Armstrong, well, instead of giving Armstrong momentum, we gave Harvey. So we had to do something with Harvey's momentum, especially after he attacked Ross Young at SummerSlam as well. So we had him bait Jeff Sanders into a WWE United States Championship title defense, because that's the only way Harvey can get one. So Harvey, still being a heel, outplayed a younger, less experienced heel. That's essentially what the story was going into this fight. Harvey ultimately won the U.S. title. I thought the match was good. Not the best match quality I can pull off, but because it has its rough spots. Not what I exactly wanted for that fight. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. Wasn't bad. Wasn't okay. It was good. Thought it was fun. So going forward, I have to figure out what to do with both of them. I have an idea what I'm doing with Harvey. The other Jeff Sanders, I have an idea as well. Now it's all about trying to. Sorry, I had to pause there. I have to figure out how I'm going to write his character going forward, because he lost to a Hall of Famer, which doesn't necessarily make him weak based on the match, but I don't want to write him off and just not do anything with him. I feel like that's a disservice to Jeff Sanders, especially after a 9-episode U.S. title reign. He finally has a pretty solid title reign, and now I feel like I'm starting to gain traction with him in terms of what I want to do. I don't care if people are or not interested in him. It's about how I'm going to write him, and I want to figure out what the best way to write him is, at least for the rest of the season, because I don't want to turn him into a joke. I want him to be taken seriously, and that comes down to how I execute it, comes down to how I write it, comes down to the story that I'm going to tell, and I think I have an idea for how to do it. But what do I know? People can just take a giant piss on it and just, screw it, whatever. I'll write it my way. Nevertheless, right, at least at the end of the show, Ross Young does attack Harvey, symbolizing that Ross Young issues a challenge for the championship. So it kind of symbolizes that Ross Young is the next in line, despite him being a Hall of Famer. He wants to get even with Harvey, and his motivations are clear. It's not just because of the attack at SummerSlam. It's because Harvey basically attacked him at WrestleMania Season 3, and ever since then, his momentum kind of stalled and died out with the fans. So he feels like this is the perfect opportunity to try to avenge that and try to redeem himself and kind of retire. Oh, crap. I don't want to go too far. But basically his goal is to give everything he's got. And this is like the one thing that was nagging his whole career, is because Harvey stalled his momentum back then when he was trying to be world champion. So now it's all about him trying to redeem himself in the eyes of the people, in that basically fulfilling his character arc, win or lose. For him, it's about executing a great match in the future. But it's about completing his character arc so that he can retire in peace with his arc, more satisfied than it was. Because I feel like when he was retiring, it was an open-ended arc, and I was like, dang, I want to finish that arc. And I know how to do it. Or at least I have an idea of how I think it should go. Just my thoughts. So following Harvey, by the way, Harvey versus Jeff Sanders was planned for since Jeff won the U.S. title at Breakdown, or just before that. I think around Money in the Bank, Harvey outlined what he wanted to do up until Clash of Champions for me, and I executed it beat by beat. Everything worked out, so it's just wasn't a terrible match. Wasn't the best match, but I mean the best match that I could have done. Whatever. Sixth match of the night, Adam Cole versus Brock Lesnar. If people didn't know, Kyle O'Reilly returned from injury. He, of course, being a former Intercontinental Champion. Brock Lesnar was the one that took it from him. Adam Cole thus took it from Lesnar in revenge. I get that some certain people want Kyle to be pushed right to the top immediately. But you run the risk of not completing the arc of the character. Or at least, I don't know, what's the right wording? You still got to do a build-up. Kyle O'Reilly gets injured and leaves. Adam Cole takes the title. You have the setup. Kyle still needs certain things to happen for what the fans want. That's why I keep preaching the ultimate phrase, patience is a virtue. Patience. I can throw the US or the WWE Championship on Kyle O'Reilly tomorrow, and guess what? If the story's not right, it means nothing. Like, if I threw the US or the WWE Championship on Elias back at the Elimination Chamber, yet nobody was behind it, you all would have sat there and gone, man, that's a weird decision to go into Mania with Elias as WWE Champion. But you guys were behind him, so I pulled the trigger on him then. While he was white frickin' hot. Freaking hot. I said frick. F-R-I. Whatever. Yeah, so Kyle O'Reilly's white hot right now. It shows that his momentum hasn't... It tells me, based on the reaction of everybody, by me trolling you all, that his momentum is still there. Your fan support is still there ever since WrestleMania. It hasn't died. So it tells me that I can keep writing his story arc forward so that you guys can get a satisfying payoff. And you know what? That and several other things tonight just showed me what it feels like to be Vince McMahon when it comes to booking decisions. People want something to go a certain way. You go against the grain because you have a narrative you want to write. People resist, and you've got to learn, you know what? I'm either going to write to what they want, or I'm going to do a mixture, or I'm going to write my way. Simple as that. And what I'm realizing is I need to stick to my drum. Although I will make certain exceptions in certain situations. I will still show storyline leniency, but to a point. I still need to get what I want to try to do around, or else basically what I'm saying is, if I'm only writing to what you guys want, and I'm not happy with it, I'm not going to be happy. I'm not going to enjoy this final season at all. And I'm already stressed as it is. But I'm still trying to write a narrative that gets me wanting to do every show, wanting me to chug to the finish line at full power, loving every second of it. At least enjoying what I wrote for stories, for what hooks you, or what I try to hook you with. But yeah, Adam Cole, I have Kyle O'Reilly return back into the fold of the Undisputed Era after his injury. He basically attacks Lesnar's neck. Adam Cole exploits that in the match, so it was more tactically choosing points. Lesnar still got in some offense. At 5, almost at the second one, Adam Cole counters it, hits the last shot. Lesnar still kicks out, then he hits Panama Sunrise for the win. Thought it was a pretty good match. Wasn't perfect, but it doesn't overuse Adam Cole's moves. That was 3 finishers for him. 3 finishers to beat Lesnar. Lesnar hit 1 at 5, Adam Cole counted the second, so you don't know how it would have gone. Thought it was a very fun match for me. And then Kyle O'Reilly and him do a promo afterwards where Adam Cole kind of says that they're all a unit, but then he kind of hints that Kyle's not as good as him. And then he has a surprise for Kyle O'Reilly on SmackDown, so it makes people wonder what's going to happen. Yeah, so I'm going to keep writing the narrative that I want to write with Kyle O'Reilly to try to give a satisfying arc for his character. So then the semi-main event, the fun little match that all of you people who took a giant piss on live. Yeah, I'm talking about you. Ooh, do I have a lot to say about this. You know what grates my nerves? Is just, I was on plan C at this point. And then you guys show so much resistance that I'm like, great, now I have to go to plan D for the WWE Championship. Because screw me. World's got to just go against me. Because here's the thing. Adrian Gallardo wasn't even supposed to be in the match. Neither was Cole Quinn or Colt Lee. Newsflash, everybody. Neither man was supposed to even be at Clash of Champions for the WWE Championship. Adrian Gallardo was WWE Champion going into SummerSlam. Adrian Gallardo was supposed to serve as the catalyst for him to build his character. Because Andrade needed some build-up. I said Andrade for the SummerSlam, I think. But yeah, Andrade was champion. He rolls in. Adrian Gallardo was a fast challenger. Adrian Gallardo would beat him, symbolizing that despite Andrade becoming champion, there's still a learning curve that he has to have. So he's not solidified as the main event yet, but he's still near main event caliber. It's what I was going for. But he would win the title back from Adrian, showing that he has the capability to fight back and still be the champion and do what it takes. That didn't happen because I dorked up the ending of SmackDown and Adrian retained his title over Andrade. So I had to resort to plan B, which was, okay, I originally had, because it was originally going to be Andrade versus Kevin Draco, and I see all you people sitting there thinking, why was it going to be Draco as the mystery opponent? Well, gee, let me think why. Draco was going to show up, try to win the championship, and then there was going to be a fight with Matt King. Class Power doesn't want that, so he costs Kevin Draco the match and his number one contendership. Thus, it becomes Andrade versus Matt King. Matt King beats Andrade. Andrade still gets a win over Kevin Draco, and Andrade had a pretty decent second reign. Yeah, I had to completely change how everything is going to play out on SmackDown. This coming SmackDown with Matt King's match and Clash of Champions, as you can tell. So I had Adrian Gallardo. I still had Draco. And then I'm like, nope. I don't want to do that. I don't think that's going to be a good choice on my part. So I switched it out and I was like, all right. Can't let Adrian Gallardo's reign die to Kevin Draco. I want it to die to a heel. So I was like, who's an easy heel for people to hate? Easy. Colt Lee. Ironically, Colt Lee is known to have, let me think. Everybody sits here and says that, he's had 5 world title reigns. Yeah, by the way, 4 out of the 5 of them have all been him being a transitional champion where he's held it from only 5 to 4 episodes. He's only had one where it was a long one and it was 23. Everything else is 5, 4, 4, 5. Yeah, he passes the title on to other people. That's basically his role. He is the transitional champion that can always be seen as a main event threat and a force to be reckoned with. He doesn't need to hold the championship for a long period of time anymore because he already had his long validating run in his 2nd world title reign. Gosh dang. But no. Colt. You know what's... Colt can't become a 6-time world champion. He can't beat Adrian Gallardo. This is stupid. This is a terrible moment in Universe Mode history if you let Colt Lee win. We will riot. I'm over-exaggerating a little bit, but that's what it feels like. Basically what it feels like. A bunch of people are just like, no, we reject Colt Lee as world champion, as a 6-time world champion. Yet I didn't hear many complaints about when Kevin Owens versus him fought over who would fight Adam Cole at Money in the Bank. And both of them are 5-time world champions. I didn't hear anybody saying that's a terrible decision because we don't want somebody to surpass 5. Or maybe it's because people just supported Kevin Owens and wanted him to become a 6-time. I have no idea at this point. But here's the funny thing. A guy can have 7 hardcore title reigns, but guess what? He doesn't hold the title as long as Harvey. I'm talking about Randy Orton is a 7-time hardcore champion. Or 6-time, whatever the number is. Guess what? Harvey had 2 reigns. 2. And he is doubled still in against Randy when it comes to the reigns. Or the episode, like the total reigns. Who gives a crap how long you hold a championship or how many times you hold a championship? John Cena held it freaking 16 times. Didn't surpass Bruno Sammartino, who basically did it in 2. He's doubled Cena's numbers in just 2 reigns. Gosh, I don't understand why the reigns. It's whatever. People are picky. I get it. You all are picky. You didn't want Colt to serve as the cataclysm heel, transitional champion who gets the title off of Adrian Galerto. What do I know? What do I know about wrestling? What do I know about booking? What do I know about writing my own storyline? I don't know. Whatever. You guys were against it so hard so that I was like, you know what? I'll write myself in a corner. I'll make a sacrifice. I'll risk gambling the storyline with myself, Claspar, and Kevin Draco. That is the overall arc of this season for you people just to be happy for one night. I will gamble it for you. You're welcome. Galerto remains champion. He beats Colt Lee in what I thought was a really good match. And then I hear the argument, it was too long. Totally understand the argument. I felt like it was slightly too. Then I hear the argument from, I don't know who. Even then, I'm not going to name any names because I feel like that's disrespectful of me to just throw your name under the bus like that. I hear somebody, or I don't hear, but I read somebody say, there was an exorbitant amount of finishers and that's what hindered this match. Really? Let's talk about Mr. Samuel versus Harvey, which is praised as the greatest match in Universe Mode. But how many spears did it take for Mr. Samuel to try and put down Harvey? I think it was about 6 or 5. Harvey hit X amount of finishers just to put away Mr. Samuel's career. Let's talk about Matt King versus, I don't know, James Arlington. James Arlington versus Armstrong. Matt King versus Colt Lee. We can go on and on with this where I over-abused finishers, and I barely heard any complaints for those matches. And then the argument shifted to, oh, well, the storyline fits. That's not an excuse. So an overabundance of finishers is only acceptable under certain circumstances. So there's an exception. Well, this changes things. I'm basically saying that that's a flawed argument to be made. I can understand if the time went too far. Or maybe you disagreed that, I feel like it kind of weakened each other's characters by having that many kickouts. Well, if it fits the characters, it makes sense why. For example, the 450 splash is supposed to be a protected finisher, which for Adrian, it's not. I would understand. Now, say if I had Colt Lee hit 2 brainbusters on the top turnbuckle, which is the most protected finisher in Universe Mode, and people disagreed with it, I would totally see why. But if you were hitting basic finishers that have been hit half a dozen times in one match before to somebody and still kicks out, it's almost hypocritical. It basically is. But if you're saying that the storyline fits, okay. So you're saying there's exceptions, like there's certain situations where that's okay to do it. You either don't want it or do want it. That's it. It's simple as that. There's no middle ground. There's no gray area where you get to say, well, in certain cases, whenever I deem fit, because that's what it comes across as. When I deem fit where you can abuse finishers, that's where it's okay. That's what it comes across as. That's what the argument came across as. So I got heated because I'm already on plan C, and then people don't want me. That's where my anger is coming from. I'm already dorked up this whole thing. I'm trying to find a solution to where it makes sense for my storyline, or the storyline that includes Claspar and myself, his Dynasty faction, by the way, and Draco. And then people are like, we want this a certain way. It's like, fine, I'll concede this once, but you're asking me to gamble based on your reactions for the next match. I am gambling right now. Thank you. I had a safe play with Colt Lee. Safe play. It was so easy. Then I was like, you know what? I'll give them what they want. I'll concede. I'll concede this once. And I come up, I'm bitter. I finished up my video, I was bitter, I was angry, I was frustrated with everything. Just how, like, the pacing of some of the matches were bad. Like, this whole card was fairly solid show, but ultimately I was just frustrated with how some of them turned out. And then somebody offered me talk to me. And they told me, listen, you can either do one of two things. You can either let them write the story, or you write the story. And they accept the fact that you are the storyteller in your final season. You either do what you want, or you do what they want. And what would make you more happy? Would it make you happy if you let them completely write it? Or would it make you completely happy that you write it? I said that it would be more happy I'd be more happy overall if I was the one writing everything. Even if they didn't like it. Even if they don't like the storylines I'm going to do in this final season, for the rest of the season. Because I feel like my narrative is justified. I feel like it's good for the storylines I need. They said, okay, then write the way you want to write. Screw them. Which sounds harsh, but ultimately, I still need to cater to you guys to some extent. Like, there is a balance that I'm trying to have all the time. Because you guys are always my number one priority. Your characters, everything you do. I rarely go in for myself, and I don't ever want to. Because I always feel like they're going to turn on me if I do something. They're going to turn on me for doing this. They're going to turn on me for doing that. I never want to do this. And now I'm like, great. I've thrown my guy back into the spotlight for a world title match, and now I'm going up against another face. Fantastic. I can't wait to see their reaction. I'm probably going to get booed out of the arena if I seize the title from him. If I let him win, how am I going to book that? Do I have to rewrite everything that I already have planned? Do I have to fix everything going into WrestleMania? Do I have to completely change everything that I've got up to WrestleMania? Or do I stick with what I have and write all the way there? And just say, screw what the fans want for this title. I need to write the narrative that I feel I want to. That's where I'm at. So I am gambling with how you guys are going to react. And I've made up my mind. I'm going to do what I want with the storyline. Because I catered to you. You guys didn't want Cold as a 6-time world champion. Fine. Whatever makes you happy. You guys get that. I'll write my storyline. If you don't like it, fair enough. You don't have to. Never asked you to. Never asked you to like anything I make. Never asked you to like anything I do. I'm appreciative that when you do and when you give your feedback. Always am. Even if I disagree with what you tell me. I'm always appreciative of it. Because it at least shows that you guys care enough to say something. So yeah. I was fired up when you guys basically said, we don't want him as champion. We don't want him as champion. We don't want him to win. We don't want him to win. I'm like, fine. I feel like my hands are tied. I feel like I can't win with this championship. I feel like ever since I dorked up with Andrade, nothing's going right with the championship, so screw it. Screw it. Give them something that will make them just shut up and be happy. That was kind of my attitude in that moment. Now I'm looking at the storyline and I'm like, oh crap. This is SmackDown. Now I need to make a decision. It really needs to come down to it. What am I going to choose? Am I going to do what the fans want? Or am I going to listen to them? Or am I going to go in for myself and try to figure out the storyline I want to do? Even if the fans are with me, it's like, you know what? Am I going to just stick with the storyline or try to stick with what I'm trying to do? Yeah, I'm going to stick with what I want to do. And this match was an example of, like, you can't please everyone. And it truly felt like a Vince McMahon situation where you're like, holy crap. Makes me appreciate him even more. He has to deal with thousands upon thousands of people pouring his feeds on Instagram and Snapchat and everywhere else, basically giving their opinions about how much of an idiot he is. How this decision's terrible, this decision's terrible. Honestly, it just reminds me of, wow, I've sat here and critiqued WWE, I've critiqued AEW. This feels like the roles have flipped. I'm Vince McMahon, and you guys are critiquing me. Now I know what it feels like. Don't know how you do it, Vince. And you know what? I've been critiqued before like that. It's just frustrating, especially when you're in the final season. You're trying to write the perfect narrative to tie everything up in a little bow for everybody. That's the problem. It's a continuous series that keeps going on and on and on. So there's only so much I can do. There's only so many people I can push. There's only so many people I can win titles. There's only so many people I can focus on to give them character development, title runs, or a spotlight. I'm trying to appease everyone, like I always have, and it's just so frustrating because now it feels like I can't do anything right. I can't please anybody. I can't make anyone happy. That's what it feels like. And if that's how it's going to go to WrestleMania, well, then at least I wrote it the way I wanted to. Even if people, 100% hate how I write everything from here on out. So, yeah, that's how I'm going to do it. That's how I'm handling it. I'm going to write it my way. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to figure it out. So that's my tangent about the WWE Championship match. Adrian Gallardo retained based off of you guys advocating so hard for it. So I gave you what you wanted. Adrian Gallardo versus Matt King on SmackDown. Yay. Woohoo, I'm hyped. Feel like I can do a good match with that. That's not sarcasm. I feel like I can. I'm going to try. Regardless of what decision I go with or what rewrites I do. Anyways, that goes to the main event. We've already run this 37 minutes. Let's see if we can wrap it up before 40. Universal Championship match. Jamie walks in with the championship. Blake Daniels is in the match as well. Road Killer and Prince Metallico. Everything was written up perfectly to this point to me. Road Killer was the former champion. He lost the title at SummerSlam. He has an argument against Jamie to be in the match. Blake Daniels, Jamie, and Prince Metallico fought in a triple threat match to determine who was number one contender to fight Road Killer in the first place. Prince Metallico scored a pin over Jamie in that match, and he never got pinned by anybody else. Blake Daniels feels justified because he's beaten Jamie one-on-one so many times, so he feels like he should be in there too. So it's a fatal four-way match, 2 out of 3 falls. And Blake Daniels already attacked Jamie to get his attention, and now he rolls him up. Now, how it goes playing forward, you'll have to stay tuned and see, because Blake Daniels basically won the championship by rolling up twice in a row to get two falls in his favor. Prince Metallico also got a pinfall. I believe Jamie did as well. Road Killer also is still owed a one-on-one rematch, so there stands to reason that he's probably not out of this yet. Jamie also has a one-on-one rematch, so there's that too. Prince Metallico also has a legit argument because he also had a fall in the match. Complicated, and I'm so happy that this was executed. I really loved the match. Wasn't the greatest match of all time, but it was a fun match, and it was a great way to end it. In my opinion, it hit a high note for me that I was happy with. Sante, I also did a quick little imagination promo where I have Sante appear on the big screen and basically congratulate Blake Daniels on becoming champion, tells him to watch his back. They don't know when he's going to show up again. Fair point, makes sense. Done. That's Clash of Champions in a nutshell. But I basically planned that fatal four-way main event all the way from Breakdown. Actually, no. Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank, I started putting that plan together. I planned for Jamie, Road Killer, to fight around Money in the Bank. I planned then Prince Metallico or Blake Daniels' return to get him involved. And then it was right when Breakdown happened, or right before it, I planned the fatal four-way for Clash of Champions. So I also planned Blake Daniels to be champion, so it was executed flawlessly, and now we see where we go from here. And yeah, it's all about the rest of it. So, hope you all enjoyed the video. Of course, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Of course, if you choose, if you want to weigh your thoughts in, I fully urge you to. There's a comment section for a reason. If you disagree or you have a counterpoint to the whole situation, I fully urge you to express your opinion against me or with me or whatever. Doesn't matter. Or your viewpoint. Totally willing to listen to it and respect it. I was just heated then. Apologize for getting fired up at you all, at everybody. That's uncalled for on me. I should have kept the level head. Should have kept going. Simple as that. Whatever. It's alright. I'm calmed down now. I've said my spiel, and actually, quite frankly, I felt better after these 40 minutes. Nonetheless, ran it on far too long now. Hope you all enjoyed, and as always, most importantly, suit up, Mad Army. I'll see you next time.